Crap. We were so caught up with good conversation in the green room that forgot to start the show. Hey everybody, look at that. Yeah, it's me again. Dal was gonna join us, but he has apparently a lot of people at his house and it's too noisy, so Dal will join us next time. That being said, I brought on some amazing friends. Some people we've had of late and a face we haven't seen in a while. That's right. Let's see. How about let's who we start with here? How about good old let's see. Oh, there he is. Ish with your still. What are the odds? You
Never
know.
brings me on first. What up? What up? What up? What up?
I never bring you first. I know I should have known.
Yo,
Then we
it must be because you got the guy from the cases here that you called us amazing people, because that never happens. And
He's definitely not talking about me. I was thinking that instantly.
I know, guys. I'm in a good mood. Maybe because I'm working and I'm doing stuff. Look at we got Dan. We've been seeing this guy lately, you know. And
What up?
what's up, Abby? How are you? And we have our returning face from 2025, Andrew from Comic Capsule.
Go Bills!
Go Bills! Go Bills!
He saw Ish's hat. He had to go run and grab his.
Did. I
think
think
he's
right next to me, so
I think he saw the logo I was wearing and had to up the
how you
odds.
can live in New York and proudly rock a Dolphins logo.
Because I have taste. It's okay.
Oh God! You know it's kind of funny. We have a lot of things to talk about tonight. The main thing is we're gonna talk about this Stan Lee documentary that's on Kickstarter. The dude's asking for like $350,000, and I don't think he's nowhere near that. And then what if he doesn't get it? Does it not get released? Does somebody else pick it up, or how does that even work? I don't know how Kickstarters work.
Wait, so let's backtrack for people like me that have only seen people talking about it.
Mhm.
What's like the genesis of this? Like, what is his relationship to Stan Lee, and why does he have all this footage?
He
was,
is. Yeah,
he was
go ahead,
Lee's,
Dan.
he was Lee's personal assistant, or like an assistant to Stan Lee for like 4 years.
Okay.
Mhm.
And he's
This
and his
guy that's
allegation.
Starlane just recently came out and really just gave like high praises over social media, and like he made a social media post and just talked nothing about how much this guy actually cared about. There's a guy, Todd McFarlane, came out and posted today
I saw that
he met. That was because he had the privilege of being around Stan Lee at a lot of different shows and cons before he passed away. He said this guy was like his personal assistant, and he did nothing but show the utmost care and respect for Stan Lee. Like he was really in his corner and really, had some good things to say about this guy. I'm wondering, is this the guy?
It might be. I'm gonna say yes. John Bullock or something like that.
Yes.
I think
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
So my thing is, so for those who don't know, so there is this Kickstarter of this gentleman has footage that he's been documenting for years of Stan Lee in his later years. Mind you, he died when he was 95, 94. I mean, he was up there, and the mistreatment of the way people mistreated him when it comes to trolling him around, signing autographs, against his will. There's this one thing where they would just keep changing pens out of his hand as he was just signing, and then remove it of the pen, put it, and he just signed.
Oh,
I don't. The thing for me, and there's people who have seen the whole thing, but they just can't talk about it because they signed NDAs. They're like, there's a lot of different sides to this documentary, so it's easy for us to go based on what we know, and we know very little of the actual documentary. So many people are viscerally reacting to what they do and what they did see on the clips, and that is a older Stan Lee, just kind of like, I thought we were done. Nope, you still got more things to do. And he's just like, listen, I'm 53 and I'm fucking tired. So, you wheel this guy around in a little scooter and he's at 95 and you're like, nope. So you got to go up there and Excelsior your way for an hour and talk and sign and meet and greets. And, and then it started to make me wonder because as we all know, CGC now does the JSA of verifications, the authentications, the verified, right? And you start seeing these signatures. People are like, no, that one's fake. That doesn't look like Stanley. And I said it before. Mike's signature when I was 21 will sure the fuck not be the same when it's 94. I don't care what anybody says. It's just not. So people are so used to seeing that famous Stan Lee, and then you getting older, you shake a lot, man. You're lucky if you make contact on that paper. And the people at Prairie Meadows, they know. They'll be the first one to tell me, hell yeah. Like my signature completely changed from when I was 18, 20, 30, 40. Right? So it's just weird. But JSA will continue, which will also bring this up. We'll talk about this later as well, because I'm pretty sure you guys all know about the Smudge Gate. Have you guys heard about the Smudge Gate, the Stanley Smudge Gate?
With the fingerprints.
With the fingerprints? Yeah. Okay. You might want to bring that up. I'm going to start using that as my fact checker. Yeah, you might want to bring
fingerprints or something. He got fingerprints on him.
Well, this dude sent in a bulk of. I'm going off topic, but basically, a guy sent in a bulk of Stan Lee signatures, and they were all authenticated, verified, JSA. But there's a thumbprint, like smudge print on.
That you can actually see, like it looks like an impression, like if you got like taken to the clink. You know what I mean? Like they take your fingerprint.
Yeah, and it's like smudged. But
that's
yet,
that's the biometric variant. That's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, that's better, right? You got his.
It unlocks his safe. You hold it up.
It's as good as the Kiss and the Kiss blood, right? Or the Stan Lee blood on the thing, But the thing that people are now questioning CGC is, but wait a minute, how do you verify a smudged signature?
How are we even in this day and age still talking about? I won't even say it because I don't want to like jeopardize the show, but. How are we still talking about CGC conspiracies? We keep sending them money.
Hold on. There's something to the signature authentication that, as a sports collector, as well as comics and stuff, authenticating signatures, JSA specifically, is one of the tops outside of comics.
Yeah.
They do take into account early signatures, and every single, if you've ever watched JSA actually certify signatures, which I have on multiple occasions, they have books with 40, 50 different samples of a specific athlete, if they're one of those athletes who've been signing for however some odd years, that you can compare to what stage of signature.
Wow.
So the fact how does that seems to increase the odds of somebody being able to forge a signature?
Yes and no, but if you're someone who actually knows how to look for the right things, where the pen is lifted, those types of things, which I don't, but these are the things that the authenticators are trained to do. The fact that CGC only verified things that they witnessed for a long time actually only helps to increase the odds that JSA verifying older signatures and whatever, when it might not look the same. They have very recent CGC witnessed Stan Lee signatures towards the end from private signings and things like that, or cons where they went straight there.
I think it's nitpicky to question, and maybe I'm just idealistic when it comes to it. I think it's very nitpicky to question a signature authenticator's ability to authenticate. Like, you're really nitpicky, especially if you're going to still send a book to, to get, authenticate. I think it's just really nitpicky. Like, well, how do we know that can you do it? Do you know anyone else who can do it? Right. Most people are going to say, if they did it, then we believe it. So,
yeah, but the problem is, it's never about like, for the 95% of the books that pump out that door, there's an event, right? Like nobody cares, right? It's always it's the one oops that ruins the 10 attaboys, right? So like, you know, the smudge gate or the whole what do they call that, Newton rings, or the crack slabs, or the misshipping, or you know, all these scandals suddenly create a new fire. To me, it's like, here's the thing, it's a business, nobody's perfect, right? I totally understand that, but I look at some of the ways that CGC operates as a business, and I just feel like they take advantage of us. And I'm saying that because I look at things like CBCS, where they don't charge you membership fees. CGC does. Why? Where CBCS will authenticate signatures without you having to be witnessed. They'll do it a different way, but they won't like give you a red label or whatever. They'll give you a yellow label, right? And CGC won't do that, right? So I just feel like they're holding us to a standard that they're not even holding themselves to, and that's frustrating to me.
I agree.
I can.
You. And
I won't
because
use
I've had some
CBCS
frustration
after
with CGC the past 3 weeks. I'm sorry, Dora. The past 3 weeks, and to include me having to have a conversation with them today. I had a conversation with them every day for the past 3 weeks about one issue. And today I just called them really, and I get it. And I think that what you said is a quid pro quo key. It's a crux, right? The crux point is they're holding a standard, or setting a standard, I think is a better way of saying it, that they're not living up to. But because we recognize the standard that we're setting, I think we as customers can force them to live. Like I've been calling every day, and I've been demanding a standard that you set for, like demanding it, because I have a real problem. I have a book. It's around here somewhere. I took it to the shop because I'm sending it to them. My Uncanny X-Men 94. I had it signed by Claremont. I sent it to get signed by Claremont during the banana deal. I didn't know, right? And so I just recently looked and saw that it met the serial numbers fell within it. I looked, it's bold. So I called them 2 weeks ago, tell them the situation, and I just found out. And they're like, send pictures. I send pictures. And then before they send me an email the next day saying my pictures, they need better photos. So before I send them better photos, they send me another email telling me that my book doesn't qualify for them to do anything. And I'm like, hold on. You didn't even get the more conclusive photos.
Right. The clear photos,
The
right?
determination. So I send the photos. I'm like, listen, I'm sending you the photos. I want you to look at these photos because there's no way. So they send me an email asking me how was the service and that the case was closed. I'm not happy with any of this.
Wow.
Today, we had a conversation because at the end of the day, what they told me is that there's still nothing that they can do, that they don't think it meets the qualification, but we're going to give you $100 credit.
Oh, thank you.
Send the book back to us and we'll reholder it. And, everything will be taken care of, which is pretty much saying we are going to do something. We do see without actually saying.
We're going to do something without doing something?
I'm sorry, really quick. Because you only said that, I now need to know what my recourse is which is what I said to them. What's my recourse in the future when y'all damage my book? Can you just tell me that you didn't damage my book and there's nothing I can do, even though it's clearly damaged? But anyway, I'm sorry, go on.
Was there spine ticks?
No. It's just bold. So the problem is, I don't want it to stay bold because at some point gravity will take effect and then there will be spine ticks. Because gravity's going to make it bow anyway inside the case. At some point, every CGC book in existence will not remain straight. Gravity is going to put a nice little curve in it at some point as years pass.
What was the bow? It was in the inner well or the
inner well? Yeah.
So here's what I was going to say back to this, because I won't use CBCS ever again based on my experience with them and them never listening or responding to an email or a phone call or any communication to try and stop an issue on their side, and me having to literally chase my package around to multiple different FedEx drop sites that were not in the place where I resided anymore. I did finally get my books after they picked them back up from the place that they said they were sent and didn't know they were going. And I still never heard from CBCS. Issues with CGC exist for sure. But as much as you might have to bitch and it might be multiple phone calls and whatever, and they might say, well, it's not our fault, we're not going to do anything, but here's $100 credit. You and I both know your reslab cost is going to be less than that $100. So you got more back to use towards other things, and they are going to take care of the thing. Maybe they didn't rightfully say, yep, our bad, we'll fix it. But maybe their standards are, if there is no actual damage to the book, it's just a little whatever, that it doesn't qualify, which, great, that there's no damage to your book and whatever, but they're going to still do it. So according to whatever standards they set, it didn't meet it, but they're still helping you. They answered the phone. They replied to emails.
Yeah, I mean, look,
That's my issue with CBCS.
I don't think CBCS is innocent. I think that they missed a great opportunity amidst early on CGC scandals where they could have rose to the occasion and really grabbed a share of a market, and they didn't take advantage of it. So shame on them. They had a chance and they really kind of blew it. I still feel like, though, and the value is what it is. Like, you're always going to get more money on a CGC than a CBCS. It will never probably change. But that being said, I think, like, when I get a CBCS 9.8, I'm more likely to believe that's a true 9.8 than a CGC 9.8. Like, I know that sounds terrible. And I also want to be cautious because I don't want to crap on the brand of CGC because what's that?
It does sound terrible.
I know. Well, and I have to be careful because I don't want to crap on CGC because how many people do you think are using CGC for preservation versus investment? So, like, if I crap all over CGC, I got to be careful what I wish for because I don't want to devalue the thousands of books that I've got here by, making.
Well, as much as we love you, Dan, and we think you're important in your own family, you're not that important that you're going to make an ink of CGC going,
right.
Hey, Dan, Tree City Comics said, everybody throw them all away.
But you know what I'm saying? I'm saying en masse.
Dan,
like, as it gets momentum, as that kind of message gets momentum. I mean, not me, but I'm just saying, as it gets momentum, it can cause an effect.
You have to do a real test here because I've seen a ton of CBCS slabs and a ton of CGC slabs. Stack up 10 of each next to each other, all 9.8s, and look, you're going to see some CBCS things that maybe that's a 9.6, 9.4. You're going to see the same from CGC.
CGC.
Rating is subjective. It's impossible to get 10 out of 10 people all saying the same thing.
Kids, cover your ears. If you got a grader, his wife ain't giving him none, or his husband ain't giving her none for like a week, but one or the other, right? Whatever they walk in, whatever emotions that they walk into that room with, if they just had an argument with the boss, if they're having a rough day, if they just got over COVID, if they all of these things, they take in with them, and they're human.
That brings another subject. That brings another topic. Would we be against robotic grading?
Yes.
Or AI.
Yes.
They don't have feelings. They don't give a shit if they did or did not get any. They don't care who's sick in the family. It does a scan. Tick, dimple, tear, butt, flip. It flips it around. But
I'm 100%
done.
Because robots don't account for. You can't grade a Silver Age book the same way you grade a modern book.
Why not?
Because
with AI algorithms, you certainly could. You can train
if you put in the code.
Because we're talking about a totally different quality of book, right? Modern books aren't even made on newsprint anymore. In many cases, they're not even made on the same medium anymore.
But it's all based on the coding.
But no, that's what I'm telling. Like my Hulk 181 9.0. If you don't know what like the ink leakage is on the top of the book, to see that it was completely a manufacturer imprinting issue, you would think that book should be dropped. AI would drop that book 100%.
AI would drop a date stamp.
No, I disagree.
I disagree. Let me tell you why. Because when they make these, when they code these programs, they put in every single thing to look for, including blue ink. And some of them were red ink or
it's not. How do you account for someone who took an ink pen and wrote a date on a 1960 Fantastic Four?
I get that, but they would probably, depending on the skin. I get it. I get it. There's got to be a way.
Do you see?
Trust me. No,
that is not a black or blue or whatever, but that is an ink. You don't see this gap where it's not red. Like the rest of it.
I see. It's just. Oh, I see. It's just very.
Dorf, I'm just gonna say, and again, I mean, I've seen Terminator. I know where this can go, but I'm just saying, like, if your eyeballs can see it and your brain can perceive the anomaly, AI can pick it up and train itself with generative language to figure it out. It's just that's where everything is going. I mean, so again, if you're saying a human being can look at something and make those discernments, it's only a matter of time till some human can train AI to do the same thing.
AI can't smell.
You think the graders smell the books?
I'm sure they smell mold.
I think if mold or cigarette is coming off that book,
or cigarettes, or you know what I mean.
You think a cigarette smoke would affects the grade?
Absolutely.
Have you ever seen? Is there a notation on there that'll say like?
I think it affects the grade because I could be wrong, but I think they assume there's discoloration.
So here's the thing, and here's my thought on it. I have a 3D printer, and it's made by a company, and when it's doing the auto bed, it uses a LiDAR. So I could see that technology being used on comic books, and then perhaps maybe on those anomalies, with misprint ink on top, it kicks it out for human review. But as you stated, maybe they can, put it in the algorithm that, through generative AI
how is the AI flipping each page?
It would be a machine. It would just be a machine that just boop, boop, boop.
So that's the real questions.
So it's now just the cover and the back.
No.
So now the interior
page.
He would have to look at each page.
They need a bunch of Johnny Fives in there. Johnny Five, like flipping the pages.
Detailed pictures. Not even slow.
And it has to delicately enough grab the page, turn it without risking any bends, any folds.
You don't gotta do it delicate. When they press them off the press, there's nothing delicate about it. It's very fast. It's
yes.
It's very. That's
but
how
you're not grading it then.
Say again.
You're not grading it then. When you're grading it, you are going page by page a lot slower than when you're printing a press.
Yeah, that's a legitimate question.
That would missing pages so fast and take a picture of every single page. Like literally, we're talking AI, we're talking machines, we're talking technology. I think it could be done. That they slide
a machine that is doing that quickly. I don't want flipping my Hulk 181 or my ASM 129.
Yeah, but they wouldn't unless it was already smoke tested. They wouldn't put a Captain America #1 under that machine.
So they knew that the machine
just do that. Unless the machine does. They're gonna deal with a bunch of shitty ass filler books till the cows come home. They'll do hours and hours and hours of testing. It's just the way they do it. It's the technology.
So
do. But I tell you,
pre-1975, everyone is done by hand, but everything post is AI.
No, what he's saying is that by the time they get to that point where they're using the machine, they will have tested it so much that you could put anything in that machine.
You could put anything in.
You're going to get a 99.9%.
You're not going to be testing with 181s and the first appearance of the Human Torch. You know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't do that.
And the first time it malfunctions and destroys an Action Comics #1.
Yeah, but that happens with human error right now.
Yeah.
Right.
At CGC. Like it already happens.
While we continue this, I tell you what, all this can be solved if you just get a comic capsule. Comic capsule right here for my my main man right there, Andrew. Look at that. You just pop this open right here. You slide the book inside.
There you go.
Close it up. Have a little thing here to put the little, you can't see it because it's black. There it is. You put a little thing. The piece that comes with this has what the, believe it or not, for people who are not handy, Dorf, has a little cutout, and it's the shape of the peg, and you just cut that out, put it on the wall, put the little nail on there, and boop, there you go. It also has
green. Look at the new green.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Hold on. There's a green. Hold the phone. Let me see here. Oh.
Yeah, but Andrew, don't you have ones with clear backs also?
Yes, he does. Right.
Yeah, and actually, since you brought that up, I'll show you guys. This is called the Comic Cape. These are boards. We don't want to call them backing boards because we're finding that people aren't using it just for the backs. They're using it for both front and back or back, depending how you want to collect and what you want to protect. So the differentiator on these is that all the ones that are on the market now, all the clear boards are non-UV protected. Ours is UV protected. So
some good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
We like
I'll
it.
tell you what. This guy's going to be pimping his stuff throughout the show, or I am at least. I'm big fans of the comic capsule. Anything
Thanks.
that prevents my book from being taken out, and I mean, at least this one I could take out and read it when I want to, which will be never. But the funny thing is, I might. Hey, Andrew, you might have to send me a bunch of them so I can put my Kingdom Come in every single one of these.
Yeah, I'll send you some
Yeah.
demos.
And for the record,
there you go.
that example he just gave us of opening it is the first time it's been opened since he put it in there.
That is true. That's right.
amazing. And that's
very true.
That's the second time right there.
That's the second time right there.
In there has never been opened by him at the very least.
But comic capsules are great. These things are fantastic. And for those who don't want to slab stuff and still want to read it but still want to display, comic capsules is the way to go. Are these on Amazon? Can you get these on Amazon yet?
We're contemplating getting stuff on Amazon because they charge a huge markup.
Yeah.
So
you know where you can get them.
Where?
Andrew, do you have a website?
We do. Yeah. www.comiccapsule.com.
Oh,
That
right.
seems like the place to go.
That's the place to go. What's up? Okay.
Hey, Caesar.
Thank you, Abby. Yes.
So can I jump back? We kind of jumped on the CGC conversation, but can I jump back to that whole Jonathan Bolerjack?
Yes. What did
documentary? You read? So my thing is, for somebody who allegedly was Stanley, considered Stanley a family friend, I feel like if you're in the moment and you're witnessing alleged abuses, and I haven't seen any of the footage, so I can't speak, but I'm just saying if you do, then aren't you sort of enabling it by not saying anything?
Well, I mean, that's where this whole thing started, because people were saying, well, why is it took this long for you to show this footage? Why were you sitting on this footage? I mean, he's been gone since 2000 and I don't know what year he died. It's been a while. Okay. Why have you been sitting on this? Why didn't you bring this out back when he was still alive? Put people, get them in trouble. I mean, hold them accountable. And I know there's
this guy is connected. I mean, he's been involved with other marketing for different movies like Fantastic Beasts and other stuff. Like, you would think if he's got footage, he's got connections where he doesn't need to run a Kickstarter to raise funds to get this material out.
Right.
There's two things to this for me that just rub me the wrong way completely. Number one, people are ignoring the fact that Stanley loved his fans and loved to hear the love that he got for what he did with his life and how much it meant to people. So he wanted to be at cons. He wanted to do those things. And if it got to a point where his health was such a concern that he shouldn't have been going, it's hard to put that on anyone but the family who continued to let it happen. The second thing is, this guy who cared so much and might have let it happen, might not have let it happen, unless something is being done for his family or in his honor or in his memory with this whole thing here, what is the purpose of this if not to just build yourself up and make yourself a bunch of money, which in essence is doing the exact same thing of using Stanley after he's gone to your benefit?
Well, that's the other thing too, is that he's hey, look at that. What year was that, Andrew?
That's definitely late.
Man, that was late, dude. That was at Big Apple Con in New York City. I want to maybe two or 3 years before he passed.
That
So
was
he was
that was in 2024 at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum.
that was 2 days ago.
What a jerk.
So
He's wearing the same shirt he's wearing today. It was this morning. This morning.
Andrew, the only reason we don't believe what Dan just said is because, sorry, you looked a lot younger in that photo. COVID aged you. That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna speak for Dorset, and y'all gotta excuse me because the way that I have to evaluate this is based upon. It's not going to be. No emotion is going to be attached. It's going to be devoid of that. It's just going to be very matter of fact. So there's a couple of things that I was thinking about, when you said what you said, Dorf. One, 95 years old. I know my grandfather played in Ray Charles' band. He laid railroad across the United States. This is a guy who did a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
He died in his late 90s. And by the time he got to that point, he didn't want to do 1% of the things. He was one of the most active people that you will ever meet. He didn't want to do all of that. He didn't want to be out. He didn't want to be hobnobbing. He didn't want to he played every instrument. You know what I mean? This was a guy that by the time he got to a certain age, I had to go give him baths because he just couldn't do it himself anymore. You understand what I'm saying?
That's not everyone. My grandfather passed at 94.
We can't say that was Stan Lee just because we think it is.
No. My grandfather was.
Let me just finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
We can't speak for Stan Lee. We can't say what Stan Lee wanted to do at 95 years old because we just don't know. And then on top of which, when we talk about this documentary, I don't know what this guy has got to gain. I don't favor him one way or the other. I don't have an opinion of him because I just don't know. I do know that Marvel has a lot of money. Disney has a lot of money behind them. They have a lot of attorneys. They have a lot of money. And they apparently had the ear of the people around Stan Lee. I don't know that this means one thing or another. What I'm suggesting is that it isn't that the only conclusions aren't, while there is a conclusion that it could be a money grab, that it could be a way to grandstand, that it could be a way to put yourself over. These are fair conclusions. They're not the only conclusions. There's also, I just want the truth to get out. And that is also a conclusion that you can come to as well. There are also other conclusions that you can come to based upon this guy's motivations, especially because he doesn't have any money. He's asking for money to put it out. He hasn't earned anything from it.
Again, what I'm saying about that isn't what his motive is, but I'm saying you can't claim to be altruistic and I'm doing this for these good purposes when you have no message as to what's going to happen with the funds that come from it. Like if you're saying I'm going to be putting this out there for the good of, getting it out there. Well, but that's what you're saying is it could be that. What I'm saying
I'm not
is
saying that. I'm not claiming.
You're saying that
is
could be.
And
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing that could be a conclusion. But to me, if you're going to do something like that so you get the information out because you want it to be out there, and you do something along with that to help make sure it doesn't happen to someone else. Like that's the reason you get that out there. If you're going to reap the benefits of
that's an opinion. That's your standard.
And it's my opinion.
Like that.
But the other thing to what you said before about your grandfather, my grandfather passed at 94. He loved being social. He loved going to anything and everything up until he passed. He was, thank God, very healthy and able to do that.
Right.
It depends on your situation and whatever. Now, again, I'm not speaking for Stan Lee, but the man was certainly able to walk around on his own, to shake people's hands, to be around a lot of people. It wasn't the type of person that you're necessarily having to bathe. And I'm not trying to say how much he enjoyed or didn't enjoy. I can tell you that based on everyone that I know that met him in his later years, a few years before, he was so happy and so excited to talk about his life's work with those people. And again,
I wasn't a clip today that said exactly the opposite. It was actually him, unhappy and ready to leave, and was really upset that he had to continue to do more. And he literally said, "Y'all just trying to get every cent's worth out of me."
But again, you're talking about a clip from a scene of God knows what else happened that day there. And I'm not saying that he was happy and whatever. I'm saying to take one person's whatever based on, I still have no idea what his real motives are to do this, because there's nothing out there about what his motives are.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Call spade a spade. It's all about the money. What does he gain? Nothing but just money and notoriety and maybe the sympathetic eye of, oh man, you were with him to the very end and all that. I mean,
So,
let's be
Can I
honest.
add something? We're arguing a lot about the merits, and to be fair, I mean it's valid on both sides.
I don't
But
even think the merits matter.
well, I think the points you both make are valid on both sides. It just depends on who you're talking about, really. But let's take that out of the equation. Let's take Bowler Jack out and let's take Lee out. Right? Forget it. This man died in 2018. We're in 2025 now. Why now? I mean, you're telling me now 7 years was the boiling point where you say, I must speak out.
Well,
7 years now.
there's also there's Dan, and sorry, but there's also the legalese. Let's be honest. There's probably a lot of legal stuff, and Andrew and Ish, you guys would know about this because you guys own businesses. There's a lot of legalities of what can be released, who has to sign off on it. All those things, as we know, takes a long time to do.
He has an estate. We know
I
this.
bet you there were
Honor track.
NDAs out the wazoo, and
There's
like,
tons of NDAs.
you cannot talk
You
about
would
Stan Lee
think
positively or negatively for X number of years.
Without
but
saying
that they mentioned in the Kickstarter, like I finally can speak out, and nothing was said to that effect. So like you have to assume again, unless we're just sitting here and we're sort of assuming that that's not really the case. Maybe it is. I don't disagree that there's probably some NDAs in force, but I'm looking at it like, why 7 years later? I mean, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, there was a lot more momentum in the arena of like with Weinstein, with other people that were getting taken advantage of, and there could have been a much bigger platform to stand on and be like, okay, here's one more person that was taken advantage of, and we need to rally behind this individual as well. Now, 7 years after he died, why now? And I'm going like this. This is why. This is why.
I would put all my money. I would put all my money on it.
If there's a story to be told, should it not be told regardless of the reasons?
I think it should not be told.
Story to be told.
It's for sure, but who's telling it, right? Like, who has the right to tell it? Does this guy because he wants to make some money now? I don't know.
He has the right to tell his story because he was there. He absolutely has the right to tell his story. If he was with Stan Lee, and it's a story that people may want to hear, if he can make money off of it, if he can't make money off of it, if his motivations are shaped, whatever they are, it's his story to tell. And he certainly has a right to tell. Are we supposed to say, well, you shouldn't tell it?
There's a lot of listen, we're speculating since we don't, like I said, I know people who actually saw the whole documentary and they signed NDAs and they can't speak about it. But they told me this documentary has a lot of different views. So it's almost one of those, you would have to watch the whole thing to understand, because for the most part, we're going based on clips. Mm-hmm. And what we see on the Kickstarter with the different tiers and all that, the rewards and all that stuff once you reach this. But like I think it's 350. Can you check Dan, like look up that Kickstarter and see where he's at in the money? Andrew, yeah. I know you wanted something to say as well.
No, just hearing the other three guys talking, like I personally probably wasn't going to back it or watch it. But now that I hear all these different sides, it's compelling. Like I kind of want to know, like A, why was it made now? Like B, was he happy or sad while he was doing this? I'm kind of intrigued by it now. So
it's 300,000 is the goal. 65,508 is the number right now.
And how many days
why
left?
now? The
23
why
days
now?
to go.
They won't get 300,000 by that time.
Actually kills the Thanksgiving turkey every time, because it takes away from, it's a Thanksgiving turkey, right? Like, why now are we finding out that Michael Jackson did this? Why are we waiting till now to talk about it?
Do you think there's a? Do you think there's a? Do you think there's a statute? Do you think? Hold on, but
even though he got prosecuted 10 years later, 15, 20 years later, did he actually do it?
But there's also the possibility the statute of limitations died down after so many years,
or an NDA expired.
Right. And I'm not even questioning why now. What I'm saying is why now always in my
but you know what, Ish? Like, I got to tell you, and I you know how much I love and respect you, but I just look at it like this, right? The 7 year thing, why now? I know it's always going to be the question up front, why now? But I look at it and I look at it and I go, I have to go back to Dorf's comment. If he came out and said, look, some of the proceeds of this money is going to go towards preventing this for future elderly or something like this, and we're going to set up a fund, I'd be like, cool. But none of that said that. The whole goal of this is like, we're going to fund our crew. We're going to feed our crew. We're going to feed the staff, the production costs. And, you know, the other piece of this I have to look at is, again, you say it's your story to tell, right? It's his story to tell, right? Well, if I live in an apartment building, yeah, I can you pull my grill out and I can grill in the living room. It's my apartment to do what I want to do with it, but I risk everybody around me. And I feel like when a guy wants to tell a story like that, he's going to start a lot of fires and implicate other people that are around Stan Lee's circle that might not have had malintent. And so I feel like if you're going to do this, the whole thing to me feels a little weird when it's 7 years later and the money he's raising, $300K, is not going to serve anybody but his own production. So that's where I'm looking at it. Like, I understand, you know, it's good to bring a story to light, but I just look at the motives behind it, and I don't understand why. That's the biggest thing with me.
There's one more piece about this too that it eats me because one of the tiers Caesar told me is if you donate enough, he'll tour you around the places where Stan Lee was mistreated.
Yeah, that's
I'm
weird.
sorry. There is no way you're doing this from any good place. If, hey, you pay us enough, we're going to take you to see the horrible places these things happen.
Yeah, Dan, if you're on that page, look at the tiers.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. $1 is pledge without a reward. $17, you get 6 postcard-sized prints of what? Like his bruises? I mean, geez, I don't know what the hell you're getting 6 prints for. $50 is you get a captured hero comic SLH variant, or you get the Comic Tom variant, or you get the captured hero I mean, there's a whole bunch of $50 tiers for different comic book variants.
Now go high up, go way up on the. If you donate
$100 gets you the movie posters signed by the cast and crew. If I go all the way to the end, for $7,000, you get an original comic layout by J. Scott Campbell. $5,000 gets you original Bill Sienkiewicz art. $4,000 original Bruce Timm sketch. You know what I'm saying here? This feels like an Instagram live sale. Like, what does this have to do with anything? I mean, it doesn't. It seems like to me, I don't know. There's a show on Netflix.
I agree with J-Rob with what he said. And the reason why this conversation is really hard for me to swallow is because we live in a world where, first of all, I just want to speak to Dan about his motivation. Maybe he never intended to put it out, but he just told a circle of people about it all the time. And they're like, yo, you have a story here and you can make money off of this. And you actually have a story here. And he's like, oh, wow, I do have a story. And I can make some money off of it because I'm broke. and I actually can make some money off of it. And that does it make the story less true? Does this guy have to have some altruistic motivation to go save the world in order for him to put it in? Like, why is that the criteria?
Yeah, I mean, that's J-Rob's right, and you're right. I mean, I can't argue with that. I would just say again, if our suspicion is coming out and we ask questions like why now, or we ask these kind of questions,
and we should, by the way, be suspicious.
Well, the reason why we're suspicious, suspect, right? I mean, the reason why we are that way, is because almost 8 times out of 10, it goes in the direction we expect. There's nothing that's going to come out of it. Go ahead. Sorry, Dorf.
There's one other thing to this and to what J-Rob is saying, which, again, I'm not going to argue that if there are people who would want to hear it. But I'm going to give you a very extreme example, but from real life. O.J. Simpson at one point penned a book that said, if I did it, this is how I would have done it. And the book was blocked from release by Nicole Brown Simpson's family and whatever else. So it was never released. I'm sorry. I understand that you very likely murdered 2 people and got away with it. I don't care if that is a story that there are some people out there who would want to read. That's not a story that I want being told. First of all, I think it's disgusting that you would think that's an acceptable thing to do. Secondly, the people who want to read that and say, gee, this is how I could get away with murder.
Like that morbid curiosity.
That doesn't speak to what J-Rob is speaking to.
No. But so the guy has his story to tell, according to what you're saying. I don't want to hear this story.
He didn't get away with murder, and now I'm going to
No,
tell
no,
the
no,
story.
no. That's why I said this is an extreme. I said this is an extreme, different example, but it's just another example. Stan Lee is someone who I will greatly admire until the day I die. I am very appreciative to what him and all of those early comic creators have given me in my life and given me enjoyment and pleasure that I will always remember and pass on to my children. I don't want to see someone's opinion of him being mistreated in his later years, while according to Caesar, but what I'm saying is that story is there. I'm not saying no one needs to, just like there are people who want to read that book. I'm saying for me,
but you know what people are always going to say to that comment? They don't watch it, Dorf.
Right, because my question is it
Problem
you
solved.
don't want to see it, or do
Right.
you not want other people to see it either?
see, I'm also not a book burner, and I'm not someone who bans things, and I'm not going to tell anyone you shouldn't see that, and you shouldn't see that, and you shouldn't see that. I'm not that person. I never will be.
Everything goes back to
me, no matter what.
Everything goes back to comic books. I always tell my wife whenever there's a fucking life lesson, I go, it's just like comic books. Everything goes back to comic books. The same way I don't shit on a lot of books out there, I just don't buy it. But I would never shit on Dan or Ish or Drew, to say, hey, don't buy that book. It's shit. It's a shit cover. I would never do that. I just don't buy it. So just same way you would turn the station because he hates that song.
But we all agreed to shit on you for not liking Goonies.
100%.
Oh, you brought that up, Dorf. Oh my gosh.
So a closer to home example to describe what J-Rob is saying, and the reason why I was the why now thing and how it could be a hindrance is, let's look at Puff Daddy. We don't know if he's guilty. We don't. In all likelihood, it looks like he's guilty. I actually think he's going to get off, and I do think he's guilty, but I think he'll get off.
The lube helps with it getting off.
But why now?
Oh, God.
Certainly tarnishes a lot of people's testimony, which may actually be the truth. It definitely makes people question, and we always turn why now makes us we can blame, we victim blame with why now, and that tends to be the way people link, especially in circumstances.
I
the best example you have to
way
that.
to look at it. That's one way to look at it, like the victim blame. I just think
but
that like the other side of that to me. I'm sorry, Dorf. Just one thing, real quick.
Yeah.
The other side of that with me though is I don't want to see money get into hands of the undeserving. I know that sounds terrible, and I mean, I look at it, and I'm just an old dude here, so just take it for a grain of salt. But I don't want to see this guy riding the coattails of Stan Lee just because he was around Stan Lee, making money. Like allegedly in the comments and in YouTube, this guy that made this video has already spent $200K making this video. Okay, I would love to see an audit of what you spent it on. Like, what have you spent it on? Have you gone out clubbing or doing research or whatever, and that's going to help you recoup your money? Okay, cool. But like, what I suspect is probably going to happen is this guy's going to jump on the Stan Lee bandwagon, make some friggin' money, and nothing is going to come out of this other than he gets to tell his story. Like, why don't you align with, like, this is a good comment on this Kickstarter, by the way. Somebody said, why don't you align with like AARP? Why don't you do something to like raise awareness for elderly abuse?
What up, Adam?
That's a good point by Adam.
So, because I respect actually both opinions here, yours, Dan, and Dorf's. So for me, when I think about what you just said, it's like, well, one, how much money can he make off of the Stan Lee documentary? Really, it's not going to be
a lot.
He's not going to become a millionaire.
No,
obviously.
but he'll make a lot of money.
That's not going to happen. You're going to make how many people make tons of documentaries that are good and they don't become millionaires? Like, he's not going to become some millionaire overnight because he did a Stan Lee documentary, right? First of all, it's got to get ratings. It's got to be good. People have to watch it. And it's got to be people outside of comics have to watch it because there's just not enough of us to make him millions. That's not going to happen. And then two, for me, and this is just my personal opinion, like, we live in America, it's capitalistic. Half of the people who are successful became successful off of somebody else's coattails.
Yeah, no, you're not.
Like, off of capitalizing off of something.
But is it right though? Is that greed? Is that greed and that cash grab? Is that right? I mean, is that something you want to support? Like, you're right. There's going to be people who are going to want to buy the documentary.
Okay.
Nothing against them. I can't.
Dan, I got to tie this right back to comics because look, I still am a big Clayton Crane supporter. I love him. Whatever he does in his personal life has no bearing as long as it's legal on my opinions on his art and whatever else. And I will still line up and get his autographs and whatever. Those autographs are a cash grab, and he charges a good amount for them. It's it's one of those things that's what we do. I love Clayton Crane. I will continue to support and whatever. It's not a knock at all. But like I can't. There's plenty of people out there who do bad things and whatever, and he is not one of those people I'm talking about that make money. And I can't ever support anything because that's the reason behind it. I personally won't support this because I have no interest, first of all, in seeing someone that I look up to and that I will always treasure in a light like that. And I will not support someone who, for all intents and purposes, from what you can see, looks like he is only doing it to line his own pockets.
So here's the question.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
If this ever comes out on a Netflix or a service that you already subscribe to, will you watch it or you have no
Probably
interest
not.
in watching?
Just like I never watched the one about SeaWorld. And I've been to SeaWorld a bunch of times. I also know a lot of really great things that SeaWorld has done over decades to help animals that were in dire need and wouldn't have survived without them. But someone made a documentary trashing them because of a crappy situation with terrible in every sense of the word. And instead of helping one situation, it derailed an entire organization that lost a ton of ability to support for a very long time and do the good that it did. I've never watched that. I never will.
In the
By
best
show of hands,
perspective, Dorf,
show
I
of
just want
hands.
to tell you how much I'm sorry.
Who here wants to watch it?
Probably not.
So I want to watch it. Well, I'll tell you why. I just want to say I respect Dorf, Dan. I respect both of you, both of what you said, and I think Dorf put it in the best perspective. First of all, I love this forum. I love when I can talk to people where we might disagree on certain things, but then any one of us can make a point that is valid. And whether we agree on it or not, we agree on the validity of the point. I really appreciate and respect those type of conversations. Dorf, I think, said something that I think makes me understand both perspectives in the sum total perspective. And that is, Dan, your opinion, similar to Dorf's opinion, is because specifically in regards to this thing, you don't want to see this person who may have not so positive motives shine. And I understand that.
No,
hold on. Let me just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's it, but yeah.
Like capitalize off of this particular thing, obviously because you're old school. And I think it comes down to, I think what Dorf is saying makes sense, right? Like we pick and choose. There are people who do bad things that we choose not to support. There are people who do bad things. For instance, for me, it's Hulk Hogan. Because he was such an instrumental part of my youth and responsible for so many great moments, it was hard for me to cancel him when the tapes came out with him saying the N-word or what have you. Just very hard for me to do because it involved me erasing a large portion of my life that really mattered. Moments with my family, moments with like great memories and great moments that I have to actually act like didn't exist. And it's like, yo, sometimes you can appreciate the art.
Yeah.
And not the artist, so to speak. And those are situations where we personally pick and choose.
Michael
Jackson
Jackson
away, but I can't throw Michael Jackson away.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But I can.
No, I mean,
is the
same thing for Neil Gaiman,
the example.
Right? Neil Gaiman, very same thing. You don't dismiss his body of work because of the allegations. It's
I can never throw my Neverwhere books away.
Yeah, and I guess I see the point of that, and I do respect all the points here. And again, no ill will. I'm just saying, like, this would have been an easier pill for me to swallow about this documentary, and I might have been enticed to see it if somewhere in this guy's Kickstarter there was somewhere the money was being appropriated to help a fringe group or some kind of exposed or neglected group or something, or some organization. but none of that's called out here, and it just seems like the Kickstarter to me feels like a cash grab. Even the tiers, it feels like, okay, we got this guy to do this, we got this guy to do this. I mean, that's all I'm saying. If you want to see it, go see it. God bless you. Like, you have the right to see it. You can pay for what you want in this world. It's the same reason why I won't go to concerts. Like, I won't support Ticketmaster anymore. Like, they're a greedy organization. I just won't do it.
I just see them getting a shot with some guy crying and them going in the back. Like, yes, we got it. We got it. That was the one. Like, that was the money. Like,
that's the money shot right there.
Twirling
Right?
the mustache.
Yeah, there's I'll tell you what, and we could put this to bed and move on, actually, because I'd like to go back to the CGC conversation, because that was getting pretty good.
It's fine, guys. It's
you know what it is? It's I was saying this in the green room. If he was my grandfather and I was part of the estate, I wouldn't want to see like my grandfather, my world famous for who he was, kind of just sad and I gotta go do this and do that. It kind of doesn't. I don't know if I would do that. It would tear my heartstrings. So I think there's that
estranged from his own daughter. So I mean,
there's so much we don't know, and maybe those who do see it will open up the eyes and say, you know what, Caesar, Dorf, Dan, it's not what you think, right? Now, I might watch it if Ish or Andrew come up to me and says, Caesar, it's not what you think. I finally saw it. There's a little bit of that, but there's a lot more to that. And I will be like, I'm going to take their word for it. And I would probably go check it out, right? And then make up my own opinion. But for right now, I think I'll just let it pass and let it go. And, I don't need to have and drop money into something like that. But hey, shit. And I'll say it again. People who want to go watch it, go watch it. You want to go drop money on it? Personally, I don't think it's going to reach $300,000 in 22 days. As Dan said, there's 60,000 people. I think $60,000 people have dropped into this already. People have donated.
Oh, so just to clarify, I said I would watch it. I won't pay to. I won't.
Oh, of course not. No. You'll watch. You'll watch it.
I gave
no one's
$1,000 to the Kickstarter.
Look, let's be honest. Whether this hits its mark or not, it's going to get released. It's going to get out there.
Oh, somebody one way.
Yeah.
So people are going to see it. For me, very similar to like Lex Luger, because you brought up wrestling, is one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day. It is so hard to see what he looks like these days. He is shriveled. He is he is going to Hall of Fame. He's wheelchair riddled. Like there's so many things, but he was an icon physically and whatever. And to see him like that, and that's what it was for me. Like, to me, Stan Lee is larger than life. I don't want to see him in that state.
Well, it's true, but that goes for everybody. And I told the story of when my father years ago, when I was younger, and he got sick, and I saw him in the hospital bed. And here's this man, and he's still around, thank God. But here's this man as a child. He was a pillar. He was my He-Man. He was big. He's a big guy, but he wasn't. The older I got, he's not that big. And when I saw him sick in that hospital bed, he was so tiny, small, frail. And all of a sudden, all those visions you had of him just went like, wow, it's almost like an illusion. He's not that strong. He's not that big. And then I think about that with myself and with how my daughter probably sees me going to this tall, big, strong man. And then if she probably was to see me in the hospital with my heart attack, she'd be like, he looks a little bit different. So,
but that was a bit soul crushing.
I tell you what, it to like what Dorf was saying, to see Stan Lee, it just kind of like, oh, I don't know. It's just not my jam. And kudos to anybody who wants to see it. But I am curious. I'm not going to lie. There's a piece of curiosity in my bone that's like, it won't get released. It might not reach the 300, but one way or another, it will get absolutely released.
It's coming out for sure.
It's going to come out for sure, and might be 2 years. Or it's going to be on Netflix or Hulu or one of those. Tubi, you know. All right,
someone that will pay over $300,000 for it.
I mean, he could just make a lot of money. I don't know why he wants to go that route. He could just produce it and just leak 15-minute increments on YouTube. He could, and they get
two segments.
For the same reason Alex Ross did a Kickstarter for his thing.
It's not enough. It's not enough money, and it's too much time. No one wants to go on YouTube and watch, not a 45-minute video when they could just watch, 15-minute clips, and you can get 300,000-400,000 views per clip.
So before we move on to the CGC, has everyone here caught up with Daredevil?
Except for tonight's episode.
And it's on tonight.
No, Andrew. No, Andrew. Have you seen any of it?
No.
Spoiler. So Daredevil fight.
Don't tell Andrew that Elektra got killed.
Oh, dang.
Andrew, is there a reason why you haven't seen it?
I've just been so busy.
Yes,
I'm not enjoying it.
Busy.
I am up to where the White Tiger trial ended. That episode.
Okay. All right.
Did you finish it?
I finished that episode. Yes. I chose my words carefully.
All right, let's talk about the CGC thing now. Going back to CGC, you kind of you tagged on something ish that really sits a little wrong in the pit of my stomach. So when you said I got a book back with the Bend, and my book was part of Bendgate, right? Banana Gate. And I called up and I said, hey, my book is Bend. It's part of that whole thing. And they're like, yeah, nothing we can do about it. You don't qualify. But even though the pictures and all that stuff, how is that possible for a company like CGC tell their customers, your book does not fall under that, even though it's completely... Now, if they go, hey, listen, it's not part of the serials. It's not part of this. It's not part of that. So I don't know what to tell you. So then,
that this is
what you're asking is what I asked today.
It's you don't know what their internal criteria are that they said. You only know that it happened. No, I understand. That might not be something that they are going to openly lay out. But the people who make those judgments are the ones who have whatever their internal criteria are. And the person who's answering your question on the phone only has, this is the result based on those people who have this stuff. And
okay, but let me tell you this, because this is specifically the answer to your question to speak to what you're saying. That is not satisfactory for me.
Agreed.
As a business owner, as a former military member, as a human being who negotiates business on planet Earth, I cannot send you a product, you damage it, and tell me there's nothing. And my questions are going to be, what criteria did you use to determine that I don't qualify? What is your solution? Because the answer just can't be, hey, and I was very clear with them. The answer cannot just be, hey, yes, you sent us a book. Yes, your book is damaged. Yes, we damaged your book. Yes, it doesn't meet the criteria for us to do anything, and have a nice day. And I paid you money. That is never going to be the answer for me. You are going to give me something satisfactory and adequate. You're going to.
But Ish, when they said they're going to reholder it, isn't that basically them
solving the problem?
Solving the problem. Yeah. So
they
shouldn't
gave
the answer
more than enough money? And I said to her, it sounds like, and this is fine because I'm going to accept it. It sounds like rather than admitting that this was your fault, and that you are taking responsibility for it, you are just taking responsibility for it without the admission part, as if CGC does not want us because of the nature of the book, because it was done at a private signing. I don't think CGC wants to say, yes, this book that we had for a Chris Claremont signing, your Uncanny X-Men 9.4, number 94 was a part of Banana Gate. I don't think that they want, and I told her as much. I said, so rather than say that you're just going to give me a solution and no explanation, and I had to actually fight you for the solution because you were just sending me an email asking for for me to tell you how good the service was.
So here's I'm going to give you a great analogy because this literally happened last week. Last week, Jewish holiday where we dress in costumes. I dressed what it was called Purim. So it was last week. I went to synagogue dressed as a ninja. I had plastic size. One of them vanished from my waist side.
You put me on a bottle.
Hold on. Yeah. So what? I could be a fat ninja. Chris Farley made a whole movie about it. Leave me alone.
Oh, mercy.
I'm sorry, Dorf. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Ish going, I quit.
So hold on. But Ish, this is literally speaks exactly to your point, and I'm going to make it. I had a sai that vanished from my hip. It was locked into the waist belt. There's no way it just vanished. Someone took it off of me. I happened to see a teenager walk back into the room carrying it, not in any costume at all. I gave him the out. I said to him, "Did you find that on the floor? Because I'm missing one." His response to me was, "Oh, you can have it." I gave him the out, and instead he was too stupid to just say, "I found it on the floor here." Here is what happens with customer service as a whole. From any of these places that you have to call, it's not a knock on CGC. It is literally, you call Best Buy, you call Target, you call whatever. They are very seldomly ever going to say, "I screwed up," but they are going to give you something to make up for it anyway. Taking the ownership of it is for some reason forbidden, as saying, "Yes, my bad." However, they'll do something if they're a good company to make it right for you anyway.
Dorf, can I play devil's advocate real quick?
Why you coming at me like that? I feel like I'm in a classroom. Like,
no.
Like, why are you talking to me like that? No,
so I honestly, I have a major issue with Best Buy now, where I won't purchase from them unless I have absolutely no choice, for exactly the opposite reason. Dan, just make sure you're taking all these notes.
I feel like he was coming at me for a second. Like this.
I pre-ordered.
What I do? I thought we were friends, bro.
I pre-ordered something from Best Buy, and they canceled my order for no reason, but it didn't actually refund my money back to me that it took out for days, which ended up costing me more money to have to buy something that was a limited edition thing aftermarket. And Best Buy literally said, "Nothing we can do for you." It's like, what do you mean nothing you can do? It's still showing in stock on your website. You won't issue me another one when you canceled for no reason, and you still have my money. And they wouldn't do anything for me. And for me, that was enough for me to say, I will not buy from you unless I have no choice. And I used to be a big Best Buy spender. Target, on the other hand, has screwed up things. I ordered a PS5, the Spider-Man 2 edition, whether it's a special edition, whatever, and it vanished. Like the tracking, they couldn't locate it or whatever. They sent me out a new one, and then the other one showed up. They didn't charge me for a second one. They said, "Okay, you're what?
What'd you do with the second one?"
Well, it's impossible to return something that's not in their system. So I didn't have any choice but what to do with it, other than
poor me.
Well, okay, so here's what I could have done. I could have returned it to Target and have them be completely out, or I could have done what I did, which was leave them the money that I spent to them, and then I sold it on my own for less separately, the second one.
Why?
So yes,
Why
I still
have two.
What?
Why does it have two?
Because I'm not that guy. I don't play my first one enough. But what I'm saying is, Target, there was that screw up, and they made sure to take care of their customer.
And this should be a new episode of, you know what grinds my gears? What are you saying, Andrew?
Me?
I was.
Who was saying? Oh, it's Dan. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I feel like in my 27 years of marriage, I've learned that like apologies are not defeats; they're investments. Right? You apologize and you build on the relationship. And I think same thing goes with companies. But I will say it's a little different. I think in Ish's case or in Dorf's case or in my case, because like I want to say what I'm getting from this call is we're pretty rational people. I find that majority of society is not rational. And I think that's why companies are cagey around apologizing, because we're never just satisfied and go, I think Ish would have been like, okay, I appreciate that. Now, how can we remedy this? And they did remedy it for him anyway. But I think in the real world, what happens is they go, what else can I get? How can I get more? What else is and it's not reasonable.
Here's the slight pushback on that, Dan. I don't think it's that the majority of people aren't rational. I think it's the irrational people are the louder, who you will hear more about and will make it more public.
I stand corrected. I agree with you.
It is a squeaky wheel.
For me, though, I can tell you honestly right now, and I can just tell you this, and I think when you get to a certain age, sorry for the young people that are listening, I think some of the older people here might be able to kind of relate. I am a Karen. I'm not a Karen when I walk into stores, or I'm not. But when I'm dealing with people that I spend a lot of money with, right? Diamond, for instance, or what have you, or any type of service for my household that I spend a lot of money on, regularly contribute, and I'm regularly giving you money, I have certain expectations.
Sure.
I don't always want to speak to the manager, but you're just not going to dismiss me as if I haven't been spending a lot of money, or you know what I mean? Like I haven't been paying a lot of money. You know, when you're younger, it's easier to kind of like, yeah, okay, no matter, you know. But after you've spent 25, 30 years contributing a lot of money to major things that are so-called necessities, or earning I feel it's like I earn the right. Listen, Diamond, I would argue with Diamond, and anyone who would hear me. I remember one time Ian told me, I was in my shop and FedEx came to deliver books, but they never came. So we're waiting for these books. And for some reason, the guy just wanted to slack off. I don't know if he wanted to go hang out with his girlfriend or what have you. So I watched the computer change from out for delivery to sorry, we missed you. I watch it. Like I'm sitting there. I look at Ian. Nobody came to deliver. Nobody. We're in the shop. So I call them. And I'm like, yo, they got to bring my package. We've been waiting for this package. Why did they didn't even put the note on the door because they didn't come.
Right.
So I'm explaining, and I'm telling this lady over and over, and she's like, yeah, well, they're just going to come another day. And I'm like, no, I need to speak to somebody who can tell them to turn around, because they actually never came here.
That's actually happened to me before.
And I made her, and she kept telling me, I said, yo, listen, I don't think you understand me. I keep telling you that if you're not able to help me, which you keep telling me you're not, then there's nothing else we need to discuss. You need to, I need to talk to the person who can. So finally, she let me talk to someone else. That person told me, oh, I'm going to handle this. We'll call you back. She didn't call me back. They sent the truck to my house, to my shop. The truck comes to my shop and delivers my books. And Ian says to me, J-Rob, you probably remember me telling you this story. Ian says to me, you need to call her and apologize to her. I said, huh?
Why?
I said, for what? Doing her job? Like, what do you mean? I should have never had to talk to her. Like, I should have never had to talk to this woman. Ever.
You know, my thing about CGC, though, is here's the thing, right? Like, if these things happen onesie, twosie, like the Newton rings or the Banana Gate or whatever, it's going to happen, right? That is what it is. But what bothers me is, again, I'm going back to, like, they charge a membership to be in the club, right? To even use their services that you have to pay for anyway. Everything is a la carte. They don't do anything for you, really. They grade your book.
I'm pretty sure CGC now takes submissions without membership.
Just
but here's what I'm getting at the end of the day, right? They don't offer innovations unless they're suddenly prompted. Like, remember the whole 2024 slab switching scandal? And after that, because it was getting tampered with, they go, we're now making it more difficult. The only innovations before that were coming out from CGC were new labels, right? So, like, what are you doing?
Customized labels.
Yeah, customized
labels. But they had a few iterations of slabs also before that issue. There were definitely 3 or 4 different iterations of slabs before they ever got to that.
There's different generations now. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I'm just saying. I'm saying what seems to be prompting the innovations is responses. It's not like, we're proactively delivering you a better product, and here's how we're doing it every year. We're doing it better. Like Andrew's got Comic Capsule, always innovating, always coming up with new ideas. CGC, what are you doing for us, right? Like you're grading it, and that's great.
Them to live up to the standard that they set.
Yeah,
we actually force them as consumers to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I think it takes scandals to do it anymore. It's like, what's your response? What's your response now this time, right?
So,
I mean,
so what he's saying, J. Rob, you're already shaking your head.
So when you're in a business entity, number one, you're trying to spend as little money as possible. That's just the bare bone facts. And it's not that they aren't doing anything. They may be doing things in R&D that they don't release, because no one releases every single thing that they have. They keep some things in their pocket. But if I can get away with, if I have the majority of market share and the product that with the product that I'm putting out, why am I going to spend more money to come up with something else? They're not going to.
So here, I'm going to use Andrew as an example. Andrew, you showed the first thing you showed was your Comic Capsule, but you turned it around and said, now we have this nice green. You have the clear. It's the same product. You changed aspects of it to just be more appealing to more people. But there's not a whole lot of crazy innovation to those things. Now, your comic capes, that is something that is innovative and different, but that's a new product. CGC is a grading company. Their innovation was when they started saying, you know what, you don't have to go to these other people all the time for authenticating signatures now. We're going to do that too. We're like, they are doing things along with the market, whatever, but they're not going to just all of a sudden as a comic.
That's not innovative.
That's not innovative.
Hold on. But they're not going to suddenly be like, we're a comic grading company. Now here's this other thing to put your comic in, like what Andrew did, because Andrew isn't a comic grading company. He's a comic protection company.
Yeah, but Andrew's not going to innovate either. And that's not a knock on Andrew. The thing is, what's going to cause, and this is not a knock on you, Andrew, because your product is great. What I mean is, you are going to excel and you're going to come up with ideas in as much as you can. I do it with Comic Sense. But what pushes me is competition and market. If not, then you become complacent. And so CGC didn't innovate. CGC saw that somebody else was meeting a need that
but that's exactly what I'm saying.
So they chose to meet that need. Andrew's doing what he does because he's meeting a need.
J-Rob, I thought you just fell out of your chair.
What I'm saying? I'm meeting a need. I'm sorry. But Andrew, that wasn't a knock on you at all.
But not at all.
Like,
no,
that's have to fight as business owners and as creators. You know, you have to fight complacency. And
that's exactly what I'm saying.
That is watching the market and meeting needs in the market as they arise. It's the easiest way to beat complacency.
You're both saying the same thing in different ways.
That's what I'm saying is, like, looking for CGC to suddenly do something new and innovative. They're a comic grading company. There's not a new innovative. If all of a sudden they came up with the AI that you guys were hoping for great, that would be new and innovative. But outside of that, there's not innovation.
Innovation doesn't have to, and to J. Rob's point, innovation doesn't have to cost you more money. It can actually save you money. You can refine processes. You can become more efficient. Adam makes a good point. He's saying, how does Newton rings? How do these things make it through quality control? And the point I'm trying to make is, if I were to call Andrew and say, hey, I've noticed that these, and I'm not saying this at all, by the way, because it's a great product, but I'm saying, I've noticed something about it, right? He's not going to be like, whatever, hang up, and he's going to go look at it, figure it out, come up with a.
But when's the last time you got a CGC book with Newton rings? Because what
I'm trying to say is, if it's not Newton rings, it's something else. And if you do it, to Ish's point, you call them, they won't acknowledge anything, they won't admit anything, denial almost all the way, and then whatever, and then suddenly it's a scandal, and then they'll do something.
This is the thing, and this is for Andrew. Andrew did have some stuff come up on his comic capsules, and and the smart businessmen that they are, there was some wackiness with the plastic and all that stuff. They came out and said, hi, I forgot his name. I'm the engineer that created this. And we have noticed the comic capsule is creating this sort of fogginess, right? It was like a film on the actual comic capsule. And we're going to do what our best to can. That's pretty smart to me. I mean, they got ahead of the game and say, hey, this is news. We never saw this, but we're starting to see this now. And we're going to take care of it.
What a novel concept, Andrew.
Right?
It wasn't proactivity. It was once it was pointed. No offense, Andrew. It was once you knew that there was a problem, you solved it. It wasn't that he saw this problem coming. When he first started seeing the problem,
but he didn't let
something like that.
But he didn't let the build up.
That's what you're giving.
That's what I'm trying to say is that there wasn't a build up, and then everyone going, "Why is it Comic Capsule and saying something? Why is it Comic Capsule acknowledging so and so?"
There is a difference here between Andrew and Comic Capsule and CGC.
No,
there
is
a size.
They sent me the generic email. I was pissed when I got the generic email, and they didn't even look at my.
No one is. I
said I need y'all to at least pretend like you looked at those photos before you tell me no. Like I need at least that. Otherwise, I felt some type of way. Like really, I was angry, and I told him,
Let me tell you what the U.S. Postal Service did to me after destroying my.
Wait, hold on, Dorf. Hold on 1 second. And Andrew, I'm going to give you this right to answer this question. Is the problem solved now?
We are still researching it, actually, and we have come down to really specific factors that are causing it. So
okay, all right,
yeah.
So there you go. Doesn't mean you go get it. See, look at that guy. That guy has one.
Boom.
He has a clear one.
Here's what I was trying
Brought
to say.
To you by the Comic Capsule. Nothing's wrong with mine. Go get it today. My bad, North. Go ahead.
The sheer quantity that CGC takes in and then sends out is what leads you to your scandal size event compared to Andrew's finding out from a few people.
I just want you to know that. Like you really you are caving out. Like you are really
no.
Today.
In no way, shape, or form am I saying CGC is not wrong for these things. I told you, take ownership, say what you did wrong. I'm telling you, CGC is doing the same thing that every company these days is doing.
Dorf, I'm sorry you're mad that somebody took one of your size, but you're just not right here, okay? I'm just kidding.
I got it back, Ben.
Trying to say here.
What I'm trying to say is specifically...
Not you, this damaging the pressing person.
It is simply companies these days don't want to admit fault while they'll still do right. Because as soon as you admit fault, that's what gets out there publicly. That's what everyone's going to hear about. That's the reason why these companies are doing that. But I have the same thing with USPS that Ish is talking about right now. They damaged my package. I did everything online to do it, and I'd had other claims before. They denied my claim. They said you had to bring it into the post office. I brought it all into the post office. I had a postal worker there review the entire package, take pictures of the package. They wrote it up saying, yes, this is our screw up. This is this. And they still denied my claim. It was $50 that I would have gotten back. And I was pissed off about it. But it doesn't change the fact that this is how they deal with it.
Yeah, you know, the thing is that I've noticed with today's generation is they don't like to take accountability. You know, and that goes to that guy right now, Dorf, you were just talking about. Accountability is even as a lie, you know. I actually found it. It must be yours. Here you go. But it's the generation of, oh yeah, here, you can have it. You can have your own.
He was doing me.
You can have your own thing. I'm going to do you. I pardon you with it. Here it is, right? Here you go. And it's, it's that generation of, you know, we're the ones who steal your lunch at work and are eating your sandwich. And you're like, hey, you're eating my sandwich. You're like, oh, am I? You know, it's like, hold on. He takes one. You're right. He takes one last bite and go, here you go.
This is delicious. I'm happy for you to have the rest.
I don't understand this. I don't understand it. But you're right. Businesses are that practice of we're gonna tell you we're gonna fix it without telling you we're gonna fix it. Like they did with this. We're gonna give you money, we're gonna reholder that. So that means send it to us as soon as possible so we could actually fix it before the gravity gives it the ticks.
Look, I truly blame websites like Yelp, and I've said it from the beginning of Yelp. I go out of my way wherever I go. If someone does right by me at a store, I make sure to let their managers know how helpful they are. I am the vast minority because 99% of the people going to find those managers or going to post online are to tell you how terrible something was.
He's the anti-Karen.
People like Andrew or Lost Boy Comics or Ish who have those customers that they talk to regularly, they sell to regularly, that they'll say to them, hey, do you mind giving me a review? They're not asking people to give fake reviews. They're real customers. And half the time, that's what gets those customers to drop a review. Not because they don't stand by Ish or stand by Andrew or Superior Stands or whomever. But people don't go out of their way to do those things if they don't get asked to do it. Unless it's, well, this guy screwed up or this company screwed up. And that's what you hear.
It is
that's
true. What's the first thing that people do when they go to Yelp? They want to see all the negativity, right? They want to go straight. Yeah. They want no complaints. I'm good, right? But they go straight to the complaint. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, no one's going to find out how many good people are saying good things about it. Oh, look at that.
That's the 99. I don't know if y'all see that.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, nice. You just gave me a heart attack, Ish. I thought that was the one you were mailing me. I was like, I'm about to have a stroke.
Oh, the one I'm mailing you is at the shop.
I know, but I thought you're like, this is for you, Dan. I'm like, oh my gosh, what?
99. That is sweet.
The owner of the only 3 on the census. That's insane. That's insane.
That's a little bit of a flex, huh? A little bit of a flex.
If we're playing the 9-9 flex game, I want in.
I should have saw J-Rob when we first popped those up. J-Rob, because we were sending that book out. I told you we had a bunch graded, so we were way under market on that at like 85. So J-Rob got his, and he took a. And he wrote it. He put 9 on a piece of paper next to it and covered the 9-8 with it, and I actually posted it in the group as this. J-Rob, you hear me? Show me. Just
to go back to Dorf, just to go back to what you were saying now, and I kind of I hear what you're saying, and I'm not pushing back. I'm saying at the end of the day, I will be fair when I say I don't hold the companies as accountable as I hold us. Like if we want change, we need to drive it. And companies get away with what we let them get away with. So I think the Ish's question, or maybe it was yours, or somebody said something about Best Buy, right? I mean, just that's what I do nowadays. As I'm getting older, the way I say is I just don't go spend money there anymore. I'm like that. They just lost the business. So, you get a shot, you blow it, then I move on. I mean, I don't.
And that's why I don't use CBCS because they didn't respond to their issues. Yeah, they didn't communicate with me. They didn't deal with it. Whereas CGC, back before the bubble dropped, I had a 9.8 365 first Carnage and whatever that they lost. It was gone for a month and a half.
What?
But they were in constant communication with me. It ended up in the coin warehouse instead of the comic warehouse. It was like a little stupid whatever, but it took them a while to track it down, and it was there for a reslab because the slab cracked. But they owned it the entire time. They paid for expedited shipping and sped it through once they finally located the book. Like, I understand they don't necessarily publicly, this is my whatever, but they do publicly say, yes, this is the issue and we're going to deal with it. But in a case like this and whatever, and it's already a little bit past Banana Gate and whatever else, they're stupidly not saying, yep, this qualifies, it's our bad, whatever, but they're still dealing with it.
And I cannot say this is the only issue I've ever had with CGC. I've heard horror stories. I know people close to me who've had horrible things happen at CGC. I have never personally had an issue before this with CGC with anything I've ever sent. Always been satisfied. I generally only send things to private signings when I get them graded by CGC, with the exception of stuff that I'm set, like the Ultimate Spider-Man, which was we were pre-selling those. But me personally. And so I've gotten grade bumps. I've seen people get grade drops. I've only ever gotten grade bumps when I've sent books to private signings. Like they've come back 9.4s, have come back 9.8s. Okay, not mad about that. You know
I've
what I
never
mean?
sent to CCS though. I will not risk CCS. Too many horror stories.
Oh, everything goes to CCS for me. If I'm gonna send it, if I'm gonna get it
Wow.
signed, it's got to go to CCS. If I'm gonna let an artist touch it at that point, it's got to go to CCS.
So let me ask you, Ish, with this whole incident that just recently happened to you, you're still going to use CGC, right?
I have 2 books being signed by Claremont there right now.
Right.
My God Loves Man Kills.
And to answer your question, Dan,
They didn't take care of him exactly how we in our small businesses would have. They didn't say, "You're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. Let me take care of that for you," because that's what we small businesses do. They did well. It's not really our fault, but we'll take care of it.
It's a template.
Like my business still uses CGC. So, and there are things that I have to do. I have to send so many books there to be able to be a witness for signatures or to expedite. So, but my business itself, right? Like if I order, for instance, the season's number 1 in 100 came in, right? And that 1 in 100 was a full sketch cover, right? The artist did a full sketch on all of the 1 in 100s. That's going to CGC JSA off automatically, right? When Todd McFarlane signed the 1 in 50s of Knights vs. Samurai, those came in, they go to CGC. They're going to get authenticated in CGC automatically. Any customer that I have a few, there's like 3 or 4 that will say, if I buy this ratio, can you send it to CGC for me? The answer is going to be yes. So I'm as a virtue of my business, I use CGC.
But so Dan, to answer your question, that's your answer. Guys like Ish, who also had an issue, he's going to go back to using them because let's be honest, people. CGC is the standard. It's the standard.
For sure.
Caesar, you're also doing exactly what we're talking about. You're focusing on the fact that he had an issue, not the fact that while it wasn't the perfect solution, they did resolve it.
All right, so let me change that
issue, not the resolution.
Let's say they gave you the complete runaround, and they basically gave you the if you wasn't us, you're stuck with the bent book. Would you continue still using them?
Would I continue to get my books graded by CGC?
Yeah.
Probably.
He's got a business. He's got to,
And I'll restate. CGC is the reason why CGC is CGC because they are the gold standard. And I'll say it again. My wall is 98% CGC.
There's a caveat there. I wouldn't just accept that answer.
So because they're just standards, you're saying?
CGC would have to be so tired of me that they decided that they just didn't want my business anymore. Because I wouldn't just
have to ban him.
That as an answer. Like I would refuse to just accept as a customer. I'm not going to let you just treat me that way. You are I'm going to talk to everybody all the way up to Matt. You're going to let me talk to someone who can, and I'll do that. I used to do it with Diamond. You can't help me, then you just need to let me speak to the person who can.
But to that point, exactly, I would have, if CGC didn't start doing the authentication on unwitnessed signatures, I would have had no choice but to send a book to CBCS if I wanted a signature to be authenticated. But I held on to all of my signed books to not send them to CBCS because I was so disappointed with their lack of customer service and dealing with resolving an issue.
And
now they're all at CGC getting authenticated now.
And I will just say, you bring up a good point about Diamond because that's a good cautionary tale. I mean, nothing against Diamond, and I feel bad for what's happening there. They've been so great for so long, but the question was brought up earlier, why would you spend money if you don't have to, if you got a huge amount of market share and all this stuff? Well, that was Diamond. And then when DC was leaving to go to Lunar, we all laughed. We're like, what a bunch of morons. Guess what? And at the time, nobody started to reflect and go, well, why is not only one of our biggest customers, but one of the biggest customers leaving us? And then Marvel left, right? And so if you don't spend some money, that could be CGC next. I'm just saying. I mean, CGC's got the top of the mountain now, but if you don't innovate and if you're not in tune with the customer demand, it can go the other way.
If you've done some research within Diamond, there was writing on the wall as to
for sure. There was many
why Diamond was going that way and why these big boys left them.
Well, of course they had the
There's
inside track.
Dwarf.
J Rob, what do you want to say?
My comment about the market share, I'm not saying you don't spend money. What I'm saying is you don't go just spending money just to spend money. They spend money when they need, such as like Dorf was holding on to those books because he didn't want to send them to CBCS to be authenticated. They saw that there was a shift where people were not just that people were going to them because they weren't offering it, but they also saw we're leaving money on the table. That's when you now start offering a new service. Because I don't know what the percentage is. Let's just say they've got 80% of market share. They're secure. And I'm not saying you don't, when you have a large amount of market share, you don't spend money. What it is you spend money as you need to, not just spend money to spend money. Because at the end of the day, the bottom line is what counts. How much are we bringing in profit?
All about margin. I get you.
I mean, case in point is like Apple with the iPhone, right? I mean, they haven't innovated really that phone since the first iPhone came out. Really, they've been playing catch up to the Samsung, but they're just riding the coattails of that initial wave of people that are diehard iPhone users, right? And like, I feel like CGC is kind of the same.
So I'm just going to Luis's point about PSA. I'm going to let someone else be the guinea pig there for a long time before I'm willing to risk a sports card grading company taking a comic, because I've submitted cards to PSA, and I've had plenty of people who've submitted cards to PSA and can't see any reason why a card ends up this way to another, and they grade cards so much more harshly than they do comics. If you know about grading, if there's any soft on this corner, if there's any this, if there's any that, comic cards are insane. I'm not letting them do my comics and trusting that they are going to hold the
standard for cards. We're not going to hate on them on that. They certainly are.
No. I have my biggest.
You're going to get all your JSA books or PSA books for $5.
Michael Jordan rookie card that I treasure.
I'm going to put you down on some stuff though.
What I'm saying is, it's a different market. It's a different thing. And the standards that you hold for a card are different than the things that go for a comic.
Well, yeah.
And until you've really got that down on lock for years of experience, I'll let other people be my guinea pig there before I ever.
I have a question in regards to that. So it's JSA, right? Is that a sister company of PSA or
no?
JSA is an authentication.
JSA is a autograph authentication company.
Okay.
They've been around for a very long time. It was celebrity autographs. It would be sports star autographs, those types of things. For me, my threshold period
is great.
I need a good 5 to 10 years of seeing them.
They would have to topple
consistently
as the market.
That long, really? 5 to
10.
It's gonna take a long time for. Let's be honest.
The reason
it's gonna take a long time for PSA to crack in.
No, PSA can crack in very quickly if they give no 9/8. If they convince people that their standards are so high, if they convince people that their standards are so high, listen, and I'll give you an example, right? So I've trained martial arts for some years, right? Jiu-jitsu. Before that, I trained 5 Animal Fist Kung Fu. Right, the Hungar Fist, right? So the school that I went to, right, was Sifu Norman Mandarino, right? Only 3 people, 1 in Canada, 2 in the United States, accredited to teach this style, right? You walk in there, there's no kids black belts, there's no teenage black belts. It doesn't happen. Most people quit. You don't throw a punch for the first 6 months. You don't throw a punch. You spend your first few weeks in a horse stance. Like literally, no parents taking their kids to that. They want their kids getting belts and moving up the systems, and getting into tournaments. That's what they're paying for. They're not paying for their kid to be in a horse stance for 6 months. And then when you start training, you're only throwing blocks, right? You're only doing form dances and you're only throwing blocks and you're not throwing any punches. 30 people in the school. Open every day of the week. Not all 30 people were there at the same time. Very small school, right? This is how he was successful. Because when people went there, they're like, yo, this thing that I'm taking over here, I could be a black belt in 2 years. This is better. This over here,
quality over quantity.
It's
100%.
There's no kid, ain't no kid in there. He's never gonna make a kid a black belt. He doesn't care if you have the skill. You don't have this.
Ish, you've got a damn good point there. But to at least the reason I said 5 to 10 years and that number shocked you was because they're not going to get the volume of books to show me consistently for 3 or 4 years before I can see 5 to 10 to say, okay, now because
but they'll have a census. And if on their census they've graded 500 books and there's no 9.8s, people are going to be like,
Right. So that is a tactic.
You know what I mean?
But then is that a tactic or is that legitimate? So that's also
right.
You got it. And then you also have plenty of people who are like, well, they don't give 9.8, so I'm not sending my books there.
But yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. You got people who want a 9.8 so bad, who they're like, I don't care that this shows that they're grading more strenuously. No, I want a 9.8.
Yeah,
and then
9.8 isn't the highest grade, right?
I got it, but that's what peak. That's more attainable than getting a 9.9 and a 10. It's realistic to expect a 9.8.
Yeah, and that was their scam.
I got you. I'm not saying it. I'm not
bought into.
But just real quick back on the CGC thing. I don't have a problem with CGC personally. That I did have one small issue where they have only 3 9.9s on the census, and there's actually 4 in existence.
Never
hold on.
And if you want a copy of that 9.9, you can find J-Rob in Central Park selling out of a briefcase.
That is 4. Ish, you lied to us, you son of a bitch.
And his is the only one that isn't gold, too, by the way. His is the only non-gold 9.9. I want to put y'all down. We were talking about Diamond earlier, and one thing that's interesting, a lot of people didn't consider. From a retailer perspective, I was able to see this. Dan, you were talking about how like people laughed and thought it was crazy that, what people don't understand and what people didn't see is if you remember the 90s bubble, right? The reason why we had a bubble is because we had an inflation and an overstating of demand, right? Retailers overstated to suppliers what demand was. Hundreds of thousands of copies that weren't actually selling. But how does Marvel know that those hundreds of thousands of books that retailers are ordering because they have these holographic covers or what have you, and that they're not actually selling? They don't know. As far as Marvel knows, these books came from a publishing company and they were ordered and we're going to fill those orders. So that's what Diamond does indirectly, right? What Diamond does is Diamond's shipping, first of all, is ridiculous, but their replenishment, and this is where they overstate to retailers because Diamond's replenishment center isn't the same as their shipping center. It's a different, it's contracted. So when Diamond ships you books, they care about making sure you get your books in a certain condition. If for some reason they don't come in those conditions, it goes to a replenishment center. They get reordered, right? What happens is the replenishment center, they don't care. 9 out of 10 times you get your replenishment damaged. Diamond just gives you a credit for that. They're not giving you a refund to give you a credit for that. Marvel or DC sees orders that aren't actually orders, right? This is what hurt Diamond this year. I knew they were going to go bankrupt. I already knew. I did a stream on it. I called it out. And the reason why is because I would get books. When they did their re-warehousing, I would get books from Diamond damaged. And I would tell them, yo, I don't want y'all to replace them because when they come from your replenishment center, I don't know if y'all go to my page, you'll see pictures of boxes that look like they were just thrown in the Hudson River.
Oh my
Completely
goodness.
waterlogged, opened. You could stick your hand in the boxes. Like really, they were bad. I would tell them, yo, I don't want these replaced. It's 300 copies of a book. Don't replace it. Because if you replace it, they're going to come damaged. And then I'm going to ask you for replacements again. And those are going to come damaged because they come damaged from your replenishment center. In the meantime, I've already lost money because I have to write you a COD. So I write you a COD. I get damaged books. You replace them with damaged books. You compel me to buy more books because I can only get a credit, right? Mind you, I've given you cash. I'm like, wait a minute. When they re-warehoused this summer, they told me, they said that a lot of books are coming damaged in the re-warehousing process, and they're giving stores the right to refuse and refunding them with a credit. I was like, oh, y'all gonna in 90 days of this all over the country? There's no way that you are going to be able to accept these refusals and give these credits to all of these estates. It's not possible. Sure enough, they filed bankrupt. It's just, there's no way possible.
It's not sustainable.
You can't do it. I'm getting 300 books. I have people in the stream right now who order pre-sales from me. Something Is Killing the Children, who order Boom books from me. When I do a pre-sale on Something Is Killing the Children, it's easily 400 or 500 copies just for me, my order. When that whole order comes damaged, there are people in the stream. Adam Rebbe is one, not to put his business out there. I'm not going to let you replenish 500 books.
I'm amazed at the volume. Like, I don't have big LCSs around me, so I mean, 100 books.
I'm a small LCS.
When you order 400 of a copy of a book, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I pre-sell 5 1-in-75s. You understand what I'm saying? So
you have to order.
Yeah. If I put Something Is Killing Children sells. So if I put up a pre-sale for Something Is Killing Children, there's a 1 in 100.
Are you stuck with a bunch of like cover A inventory then?
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
I sell it 2 for the price of 1.
Check out his Tuesday stream. You'll see.
Yeah.
Comic Sense. 6:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Check out the stream.
Tune in.
I gotta tell you.
I can tell you right now, and this is
I'd love to pick your brain about the business operations and just figure.
In Western New York, in the Western New York area, nobody sells more Image comics by volume, meaning by what I order, than Comic Sense. Because I pre-sell everything. I pre-sell every Energon book. I pre-sell every Transformers, every G.I. Joe, every Void Rivals. I pre-sell every image.
So you're basically buying the ratios to cover the book purchase.
Say again.
You're buying the ratios and selling the ratios to cover the books that you had to buy to get the ratios, and then make profit off of that, basically.
But I sell them for under the cost, so I'm always in the hole because I want to make it viable for my customer, right? Like I want my customer to have value. Right. So I'm not going to sell you the ratio. First of all, I'm going to give you multiple copies of a book. I'm not going to sell you the ratio for my cost. It's going to be under my cost. But then I end up with bulk books. Sometimes I bulk. But then think about it. That Ultimate Spider-Man, right? So my 1 in 10 package on that was $35. So you got the 1 in 10. You got 2 copies of every cover. Well, 2 weeks later, you're sitting on 22 books that are $30, $40, $50 a piece.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
You paid $35 for a 1 in 10 package that got you 2 copies of every cover. And it was 11 covers. You see what I'm saying? So, it kind of, when something like that happens, I'm not saying to my customer, yo, I'm taking these back, or I'm raising the price. I'm going to take the overstock and I'm going to sell it 2 for $5. I don't care if the market is selling it for 30. I'm still going to sell it 2 for $5.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because
100%.
Like, why not? I think it's a quid pro quo. They help me. I help. I want to. So that's why we call ourselves the Robin Hood.
Yeah, listen, guys, we're wrapping it up. As a matter of fact, we're running a little late, but I will say right now that if you have yet to watch his live claims, as you heard J Rob, who's been fucking with that phone for the last 45 minutes, you know, he could you could what is the Comic Sense again there, J Rob?
Comic Sense live every Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, and on Facebook.
There you go. I like how Andrew's in the
SENS.
middle. I like how Andrew's in the middle of Dorf and J Rob, and they're almost alike. Other than the glasses, that's the only thing that's missing is the glasses.
Yo, they're like twins.
Oh, there you go.
They're both Jewish too.
Oh, look at he takes it off and then he puts it on. Holy shit!
Superman
Oh.
and Clark can't be in the same room
Oh.
at the same time.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Listen, this is the Dudley boys. Like, y'all should start a wrestling tag team.
Wow.
Wow, it does look like it's like the Dudley Boys. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're gonna give everyone a good chance. We're gonna have Andrew go last because he's got some good stuff to sell. Let's go with J Rob since he doesn't do a damn thing.
Well, Caesar does have a point. You can find me here when my phone is working. No.
Yep.
When I'm not lagging. No, I'm nowhere. Just find me here when I'm here.
That is
Thanks for having me.
How did J Rob get from the comments to here anyway?
That's what I do.
I hit him up. I said, J Rob, I know you're not doing a damn thing. What, you want to come on up?
He said, J Rob, you want to drop your phone a bunch of times on a live stream?
You got rid of that crappy background and
Yeah. Well, okay. What about you there, Dan? Where can we find you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Tree City Comics. I'm posting daily. You can get the latest pop culture news, like my spoiler for the Brave and the Bold movie that I just dropped here recently. Caesar, I know you saw that.
Yeah, of course. I shared it.
I post new comic book every Wednesday about my new comics that I'm reading. I also will be in the Comic Underground Off the Rack segment. We do it weekly. This week it'll be on Wednesday. We're doing it tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and we'll be discussing comic books as well. And also, if you're interested, we talked about, I think at the beginning, maybe offline, but there is a book club where our first ever book club at the Comic Underground, where we will be getting together, and you'll be reading Batman Hush, and we'll be talking about what we think about that book. So a lot of good stuff happening. And just again, if you follow me at Tree City Comics on Instagram, you can learn more.
All right. Good. Who else we got here? Oh, look at that.
All right. So I'm just going to say stay tuned in regards to what's going on with me. But I'm getting crazy with a new job and whatever, but stay tuned. There's some exciting stuff coming. But in the meantime, Facebook, Dorfburger, you'll find me there. I can find books for you, whether it be a modern weird thing that Caesar suddenly wants or something older. I help people find what they need. And I definitely have stuff on my own. If you want some Gorka MegaCon love, I've got some of that sitting fresh back from CGC right next to me. So hit me up.
All right.
oh, that's me.
Yeah, it's you.
I was enraptured. So y'all know who I am. Issue X, Robin Hood, Unfair Market, Comic Sense. You can find me on Comic Sense on Facebook, COMIXSENSE. That would be the group and the page, and on Instagram at the same name. And obviously, you see my credentials there. That's my personal page on Instagram. Check me out. I just wanted to say really quick 2 things. One, I really love coming on this show. I really appreciate Caesar thinking enough of me to let me be on this show as frequently, at all, but also as frequently as I am. I love hanging out with this crew in particular, Dan, Dorf. A lot of respect for you guys. Love going back and forth. Love your opinions. Nice to meet you, Andrew. J-Rob, my homeboy from day one since kids. And the other thing I wanted to say is people. Every week, without fail. Thank you, Abby. Love you too. Thank you so much. Every week, without fail, by hook or by crook, in many cases by crook, Caesar brings you this content with Dell, without Dell, with this cast of characters. The Motley crew, Abby and crew are here. He's always got someone entertaining, be it a guest artist, be it us, be it somebody. Every week in, week out, without fail, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Caesar is here. Because of that, y'all need to show some respect, some love, and some appreciation. Go over to YouTube. I know you may be watching on Facebook or on other platforms, Twitch, what have you. Go over to YouTube, click thumbs up, thumbs down, press play for like 3 seconds. Show some love. Like really, really, really show some love. This guy is going to be here next week. He's going to have a heart attack. He's going to be here. And I'm not, God forbid he has a heart attack. I'm saying what I mean is we're not wishing that on any, that's not what I mean. What I mean is through thick and through thin, my man is here bringing you this content. So you like show some love, pay it back.
There you go. Brother, please, man. Just barely got enough of the heart attack.
Brother, is that what you really want?
I want with brother.
I felt like it was another word in there with an A that you wanted to use.
That's funny, man. All right, Andrew, where can we find you and show us what you got, man? What do you got going on?
You can find us at comiccapsule.com. And we recently, well, not so recent, but our most recent products are the pink comic capsule in modern and silver. We have the green and yellow that just dropped within the past week. And these are the comic capes that hopefully that will hopefully replace your cardboard backing boards. These are clear, UV protected, that you could put in the front and or the back. However you like to collect and protect your stuff. So that's
comiccapsule.com, is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah, go buy his stuff. Listen, people, if you want to slab your stuff and you don't want to go to CGC, CBCS, PSA, what's the one I have? The shitty one I have, PGX. If you don't want to go to those things, go here, go to the comiccapsule.com, pick yourself up one. They have it in black, they have it in clear. J Rob has a clear one. As you saw, he has the green. They have different colors. Very nice. They're clear as shit. That's why if you really have something good that pops, it really showcases. You just pop the thing open here on the blunt, drop it in there, close it up, and all that. Andrew, I'm still waiting for the ones that fit the magazine size. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I could send you some capes.
Oh, really?
For magazine? Yeah.
Oh, now we're talking. I got 2 magazines.
Yeah.
Ooh, now we're talking. See, guys, it pays to have friends who own stuff. That being said,
you said I have 2 magazines.
I have 2 magazines. Right? I have the first.
I have some magazines. You said I have 2.
I only have 2. I only have 2 bras. It's the first Blade, like that. What's that? Vampire Tales. That I have that one. Then I have another one. So.
Oh, nice.
All right, guys.
It was Dracula.
Huh?
I think you meant the oversized.
On the magazine size. It's the Blade. It's the first Blade story or something like that. You guys know where to find me on the Instagrams. I haven't been there as much because of work, but you know what? I've been on a hunt creating these. You guys have seen it. The slab and reel figure reels I've been doing, having a blast doing those. Yeah, thank you, Ish. And finally, right? Yeah, and putting the figure and then making it one big reel allows my creative juices to get going. It's so much fun to do, and again, so much good feedback, and they're just waiting to see which one's next. And I've gotten quite a few that's why I haven't showed my wall yet, because there's some figures you guys haven't seen yet. So stay tuned.
12 though.
Yeah, that one you did. Yeah. That was right there.
And you went with the heavy duty Juggernaut, the really expensive.
That mother effer is heavy.
Heavy. You could kill somebody with that Juggernaut, man.
Yeah, really? And it's also like the Clayface I have as well. That shit is massive. And it's also a killer. Listen, everybody, I got this group together and I was putting this ragtag team together. I always think to myself, oh, you know what? I'm surprised. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me do this. There he is. He's probably feeling left out.
Hey,
Poor
Rob, you're
Dorf.
back.
I just looked. I'm like, where's Dorf? I looked at J Rob. I'm like, he's right there.
I can't.
I can't tell the difference. Honestly, it's like looking it's like looking at a black and white cookie. So this is the thing. I like the fact that I put this team together, this ragtag group together, and as I was doing this, I was thinking this is a good group, and I like to change it up, right? Sometimes I don't have Dorf, sometimes I don't have J Rob. Ish is becoming like my second with Dell. Ish is like being really part of this. I like Dan. I always bring some good stuff, some good. He's became my fact guy where he goes on the computer and gets some stuff. Andrew, it's first time back on 2025. Remember, my man, whenever you have something new, anything product, hit us up and say, hey, you know what? I got this new thing. I kind of want to. We can bring you on and with a bunch of the other guys, and we just don't do that. We geek out, and I always tell people this is the kind of show that people enjoy because it feels like you're in a living room with a bunch of friends.
Yeah,
you know, we just wing it sometimes. Sometimes we have topics, sometimes we don't have topics, but it doesn't matter because you just pick one thing and we have to spend an hour on it.
And you just fly.
It flies. We spent on 2 hours, and all we did was talk about CGC and Stanley. That's it. Let's be honest. Yeah, there was a couple other things peppered in there that we talked about. Ninjas in synagogues. I'm gonna watch that movie, Ninjas in Synagogues.
Ninjas size in synagogues.
Oh, size in synagogues. Okay, guys. All right. Next week, 9:15 Tuesday. I don't know who we're gonna have. Lately, we've kind of been winging it. I want to get some other some artists come in. I've been trying to get John Boy back. I'm trying to get Aaron Bartling back. Ryan Kincaid's always down to do stuff. I've been dying to get David Sanchez back, but these guys are on deadline, so it's kind of hard for them to be on the show for 2 hours when they're like, I got to finish this cover.
I didn't do that, by the way.
You definitely did.
Predicted my heart attack. I swear, if anything happens to me, fool, I'm gonna fucking pull your toes while you sleep. You son of a bitch.
Nothing happens to you.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna trash your fucking place like you wouldn't believe.
Nobody else would give Ish the platform you give him.
I'm gonna poltergeist your hardware, and all your slabs will be on the floor. If that shit happens, you know what the fuck happened to me. I swear. All right, guys. On that note, thanks a lot.